Jalin Turner, the tarantula, he's back and he's fighting Ignacio Bahamondes. AJ, I really do think that this is more favorable for Bahamondes than it is for Turner. I think this is the UFC saying, all right, bro, we've given you your opportunities. You're coming up short, so now you got to fight the up-and-coming dudes. The guys that were you when that was you a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Like, now it's time to play the gatekeeper almost, even though Jalin Turner, brother, if you look at it, man, it's just like he gets to that peak and something weird happens. And I think that Moicano fight was a inflection point, if you will. It's that multiverse where it's like, man, you went down this path, your life, it turns out this way, you went down this path, now it's a whole different outcome. So imagine he wins that fight with that crazy knockout. Moicano didn't get the opportunities. What if it was him fighting Islam short notice? You know what I mean? Instead of Moicano. All of that. But we can't talk about that. What we can talk about is Bahamondes, who's been looking like not an incredible finisher, don't get me wrong. He's actually going to a decision in a lot of his fights, but a long, rangy dude with an arsenal of weapons who is only what? Let me see. What's the age on Bahamondes? 27 years old, bro. Turner's only 29, so they're comparable age. But he has the frame and he has the tools to make this a very intriguing fight where I think in any other situation, Turner would be a pretty massive favorite. But if you look at it, he's a dog. Plus 110 dog against Bahamondes. AJ, I know what sides we're on, but for the context of the people listening at home, tell me, what has Bahamondes done in his UFC career, his MMA career, to be a minus 130 favorite against a fighter like Jalin Turner? I just don't think he's done enough. What do you think?
I wouldn't say it's not that he's done enough, Derek. It's what he's done lately, right? We're always talking about this as a sport of what have you done for me lately? And in his past two fights, he's been knocking people out in the first round. And that's where a lot of people are excited to see Ignacio Bahamondes come in and go to fight. And then when you go against a guy like Jalin Turner, who has almost all the same intangibles that Bahamondes does, right? Long, lanky fighter, good power, able to find his moments where he can succeed. But he's dropped a couple, and don't get me wrong, you look at the names, right? Moicano, Hooker, Gamrot, like those are very, very talented fighters, and I think a lot of the people see that in Bahamondes, the same kind of style of fighter, right? Somebody who's willing to go in there, mix up the ones and twos, get to work, and actually put some pressure on Jalin Turner, and I think that's what he's going to try to do, but this is an interesting one, Derek, because I do feel like it is not necessarily a turning of the tides, but almost like a passing a baton in the race, you know?
I'm going to tell you something different. This is a y'all must have forgot moment right here. Listen, bro, he came up short, Jalin Turner, he came up short on 2 split decisions. Come on, man. Those are wins in his favor. We'd be having a different conversation. Hooker fight, you were winning until you just got overtaken, right? Like, you beat the brakes off of Hooker. He's the hangman for a reason, right? Moicano, you walked off, you tried to be cool. Come on, man. What was the one? It was the Bobby Green fight where he had said it. He was all like, I didn't follow up on him because I felt that Bobby Green fight where I kept hitting him and he was already out. I didn't want to do that again. So you got to be a savage in there. But again, this is where it really comes down to, man. Let's take a further look at the numbers right here. First thing I want to talk about is the over. 2.5 is the over, plus 120 for the over, minus 155 for the under, and I think that's for good reason. I think Jalin Turner in the first 1.5 rounds is an incredible athlete. I think after you go past 1.5, man, a cliff hits, and now anything can happen. So you have to bet on Jalin Turner early if you're going to go that route. Bahamondes, though, we just really haven't seen him been dragged into deep waters yet. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, we haven't seen Bahamondes dragged into deep waters, and I think this is a fight that could, especially because of having to fill out the ranges, having to know where you can't strike, because usually you're going in there as the taller fighter. But, I mean, I do think both of these fighters can end the fight early. I'm not saying an under 1.5 is the way to go quite yet, but I mean they have the potential to be able to find it, and it's whoever's going to be making that. That's who's going to be on the path. Because I agree with you, Derek. A couple different turns, a couple different outcomes, and either one of these fighters could be looking at championship gold within the next year or two.
So the over is 2.5. Right, so I think playing the under on 2.5 is super reasonable. Like, I think that's right there for you. You know what I mean? So it just comes down to the other aspects of these fighters' games that you haven't really seen. What have you seen from Bahamondes on the ground?
Bahamondes on the ground, good defense. I mean, nothing much to write home about. I mean, yeah, he's much more of a precision striker, especially at range. Other than that, he cannot get slaughtered.
I would say untested. Hopefully. That's what I would say, right? But one thing that we know about Jalin Turner, because most people, when they think Jalin Turner, they think the long, straight punches. One thing that I think people are forgetting about is this dude is a finisher when it comes down to grappling, man. When he senses the opportunity to jump on a guillotine, jump on a choke, man, it's there. And with those long arms that he has, those long limbs, I think that that's something that we should at least be thinking about. Now, don't get me wrong. He hasn't hit a submission since the Brad Riddell fight, man. It's been quite a while. But you don't need to when you're knocking dudes out and going to bloody wars and all of that good stuff. I just think that, again, this is a y'all must have forgot fight from the sense of Jalin Turner had championship aspirations. He's only 29 years old. And when you're coming off of a couple weird outcomes like this, I just don't think that, unless he quits in this fight, from like a cardio perspective, I don't want to be here perspective, I think he's in it every second of the fight. And I think Bahamondes needs to prove to the people why he should be a betting favorite over this guy. From a price perspective, this is nothing against him as a fighter, but AJ, you tell me, you're breaking out your pocketbook and you're going to lay a wager out on a fighter. You're playing minus money on a guy who hasn't fought dudes similar to the caliber of Jalin Turner or his top 5 people or his last 5 people that he fought. You got to show it to me. You know what I mean? Am I being too biased here? What are we thinking?
No, you're not being too biased, Derek, and I agree with you. As much as minus 130 isn't that steep of a price, it's a little too steep for what we've seen being proven by Bahamondes. If we're looking like a minus 105, plus 115, kind of something around there, then I'm happy with the minus money. I'm not too concerned about that one. But minus 30 against a proven fighter like Jalin Turner, which admittedly, he even said it himself in the last fight against Moicano felt heavy, right? He was taken back, like, oh my God, this is something going to be a different level of what's actually out there. I don't think Jalin Turner wants to be surprised again with that same kind of feeling in the cage. So he's been working hard. And it's going to be interesting to see if Bahamondes can provide that feeling again, but in a different way and just light him up from the outside.
Yeah, man. So if you can't wrestle him up, you're going to have to stand toe-to-toe, and it's going to be mano-a-mano. Who wins it? I'm going to rock with Jalin Turner on this one. I'm not going to rock on anything other than a plus 110 Jalin Turner dog pick. I'm keeping it super simple and to the point. Again, y'all must have forgot if you're telling my picks. AJ, give him what you got.
This is the new guns right here, folks. We're going Ignacio Bahamondes, and I think he's going to get this one by decision. Looking at a plus 265 odds right here. One of the better picks, at least, that you're getting for Bahamondes. Plus money. Hopefully, Young Gun can get it done.
All right, we'll see it.